Hey guys, MotorCarNut here. Today we're going to be checking the charge boost pressure on a BMW N20. This is specifically for this car because it requires a special adapter. I can give you a link in the description where to get this from. It's because on this car, everything's plastic and it's very hard to hook up to the turbo. The turbo is buried underneath here and you need it to do it the proper way. You're going to need this little tool. I bought it. I didn't have this type of tool. I have a different one, but it doesn't fit to this car. So that's why I'm doing this video. This is good to own. This is about 90 bucks. I'm not trying to sell anything. You know, you have one, that's fine. If not, you don't want to have it, whatever. But it's good to check. Let's say if you have low boost code, which this car does have, you're going to be pressurizing the system with sharp air. Okay, it has a valve. And you're going to do it from like 5 to like 15 to 25 pounds. You don't want to go higher than 30. 20 pounds, 25 pounds, you're going to hear any kind of a leak on the charge side. What do I mean by charge side is anything after, right after the turbo inlet, everything that the turbocharge is puts pressure on. Through the manifold, through the pipe, through the intercooler, up through the charge pipe, into the intake manifold. Now, when you put air in there, like I said, you're going to hear the air leak. You can spray bubbles, and you'll know right away. It's faster than doing it with a, it's more efficient, I mean, than doing with a smoke test. Smoke test is good for like a big leak somewhere. But when you have, you know, a different type of leak or a small little air leak, it's just easier to do it with pressure. You can hear it. You can spray the soapy water. You see the bubbles. So that's this. Hooks right into the turbo. If you guys are familiar with it, this part right here is going to have a rubber seal on it that you're going to use from the car. It's going to be this pipe right here. I'm going to take it off. So the first thing we're going to do, okay, now why would you do this? Well, let's say if you want to, nothing wrong, and you want to see how much turbo boost you have, you're modifying the motor, you want to know your boost pressure, or you want to make sure you want to make sure there's no leaks in the system. This is just good to have, like regular maintenance, like, you know, changing your spark plugs. It's just a good tool to have that, let's say if you have performance problems, you could always just check, make sure it's not the turbo. All right? So the first thing we're going to do is take off the support brackets. This one, you don't have to take that one off. Okay? And then the air cleaner. Just take this connector off. You just squeeze the tab and it comes out. All right, it comes out. All right, I'll get it off. So then you're going to take off the screw clamp here so this whole thing can come out. Over here, you just have spring clips. You just take these all off, and then we just take this air cleaner out and this pipe. I'm going to do that. And I'll be right back. Now that cross brace, the bolts are 15 millimeter. And over here we just have the three fasteners right there. And when you take it out, over here, there's gonna be like a little indent that matches up with this indent. So that's just to keep this thing the way they want it in the proper position. So you can just mark it, or you can just see those lines when you pop it out. And this whole thing just comes out. You see what I'm talking about? You see those lines right there? Yeah. And then they just match up to this right here. Okay? Okay, so this is out of the way. Now, next thing we're going to do is over here, you're going to have 2 tabs. Okay? To take this down. This one broke. It has to be replaced. There's an O-ring in here. If yours is broken like this, that's not good. See? You have to replace it. Okay? You're going to take this sensor connector off. Okay? And then I'll show you over here. You're going to squeeze both sides like this. You're going to squeeze them over here and pop this hose off. This hard hose. Okay? And then we're going to take it from there. And this one over here, same thing over here. It has tabs. You see these tabs? You push this tab in. And you push this tab in, and you pull this hose out. Okay, these over here, you push them in, Those over there, you push them in and you pop it out. See? Comes out like that. You have a tab right there and a tab right there on the other side. So now, over here, you squeeze it. I already took it out. Let me show you. You see these things here? On both sides. You squeeze this and you squeeze the other one and it releases from this little ridge in here. Alright, let me show you what it looks like. You see that? Squeeze it on both sides and it pops right out. And just be careful. Everything over here, this is all plastic. Over here where I took the pipe out, there's an O-ring. You got to make sure that O-ring is good. Okay. Over here is another O-ring. Okay. This is the this is not the charge side. This is the suction side where it's going to go into the turbo, but still it can't leak. Okay. Then you'll get all kinds of codes, mass airflow sensor codes and everything like that. Now, this kit comes with a little plug. All right. And that goes in here. So, because when you pressurize the system, you don't want this that goes into the intake manifold over here. You don't want it coming back out and leaking. So that's why they give you this little, it's like a little vacuum cap. And you just take it, you see that? And you just put it right in. Okay. And I just put it right here. The little rubber cap, you just put it all the way in so it blocks this off and makes a nice seal. Okay, so now what we're gonna do with the fun part, we're gonna take this intake hose, okay, and that connects to the turbo. It looks something like this. Let's say if this was the black hose, it's going to connect and it's going to have something that looks like this on the end of it. That goes in the turbo and there's going to be a bolt here. That's a 10mm bolt. That bolt is going to be, come on, let me see if you can, okay. You're going to have to see where this tube is here. Now, when you go straight back, the bolt's going to be on this side. You're going to have to look with it for a mirror. You're going to have to get like a long extension. Something like this, okay? We're gonna put it in something like this. And if you have a mirror or something, you can get to it. And you're gonna have to take it out. Okay, that's gonna be the hardest part. Let me show you what I do. So, and then on the bottom over here, you have the same thing as you had on the top. You have to squeeze them and get this one out of the way. And then this comes out. Now let me show you. All right. Now this was in there like this. Okay. And you have to have a long 10 millimeter bolt. But I'm sorry, 10 millimeter nut. You're going to have to get it something like this. So when it's in the car, it's going to be in the car something like this. All right. And you're going to have to like bend it down a little bit, go underneath here to grab it like that. That's going to be the hardest part. And getting it back too. Let me see if I can show you where it was. You see the turbo over there. Can you see it? I'm not sure if you can see it. There's a bolt on the other side. It's hard to see. Let me see. Okay, there we go. See, you can see the bolt on the right-hand side. That's the one, I'm sorry, I keep saying bolt, nut. That's the one you got to take off. And it's also a good idea to check these things. Make sure that there's no leaks, because they leak a lot too. And now, what I was saying before, this rubber piece right here, we got to take this out and put it on the tool. You see how they look the same? Okay? This rubber piece right here has to slide on the tool, and the tool has to install where we just took this off with the bolt, with the nut. So I put it on now. I'm going to install this, put that 10 millimeter nut, lock it down, and we're going to be ready to do the test. I have it installed. Let me show you what it looks like. You see it there? Okay. Now we're going to hook up the air gauge to it. Now it's important that you set the gauge on your air compressor to no more than 30 psi. Okay, you don't want to ever put more than 30 psi in a stock system. Okay, and then this valve is going to stay closed. Okay, and the best thing to do is to set the regulator on the compressor. Start at 15 psi or 20 psi, and you can regulate it here. Well, you can't really regulate it here. This is just, well, yes, this one has a regulator. So you can regulate it to let's say, start at 5, and you listen for the sound. I'm going to hook it up, and we're going to just do it together. Have it off, and what you want to do is you want to take off the oil cap, all right? And you want to make sure, well, you want to listen for leaks. I'm going to put it at 20 psi to start out. I'm not going to go higher than 20, because anything from that, and you'll hear a leak. So I'm going to put it on. We're about 17. Okay, it's about 17 right now. And you listen. You listen all around for any really bad leaks. Okay, I already hear something. I hear it on this side. You hear that? Maybe you can hear it, I don't know. I hear something. Now, the best thing to do, like I said, is to spray a soapy water. I'm going to use Windex. But you listen everywhere. I don't really hear anything here. Not really. Oh, compressor went on. All right, let it shut off. I'm spraying around here. You could probably hear that. What this is, there's an O-ring in here. I think the O-ring is failing. Okay, so now I'm pretty sure you can hear that. There's an O-ring on the charge pipe. If I move it, you can hear that, right? It's leaking. Now, if you hear a light airflow, because don't forget, this is charged with air, you're going to hear it in the intake, but very low, not on the outside. You're going to hear it internally, but very low, like over here, where the gas cap is off. Well, you can hear the other side, but over here, you don't hardly hear anything. Very, 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 very light. And that's normal, what I'm trying to say. And the gauge, is when you shut the gauge off and you lose a pound per second, like 1 pound, 2 pounds, 3 pounds, that's normal. But when you shut it off and the gauge just drops all the way, that's no good. All right? I can see that's dropping a little too fast. That's dropping like a half a second a pound instead of, you know, like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, like that. That's normal. When you shut the air off for it to leak down, that's normal when it's like 1 pound per square inch. All right? So, and what you're going to want to look for, other than that leak over there, is the charge pipe coming from the turbo, not this one, the fat one on the bottom that goes into the intercooler. The seal over here near the intercooler, and the seal over there near the turbo. The intercooler itself, it's good to lift the car up and spray it around. It's mostly plastic. It could leak. The sides, the tanks on the sides could leak. Okay? Now this charge pipe where it hooks into the intercooler down there, you got to spray over there. Also the whole charge pipe. Underneath the charge pipe, you see these seams? Sometimes they crack underneath. All right, this is a bad leak. You hear it? And so I got to make sure it's not cracked, but it's probably the O-rings in there. You know, they're usually one-time use. And yeah, I mean, like I told you before, you hear a very faint hiss of the air going in the intake manifold. That's normal, but not on the exterior and making all that kinds of noise. All right, so that's the charge pipe. That's your charge. Your charge goes in and out into the intake manifold. There's where you're gonna have codes, drivetrain malfunction, boost pressure low, and codes like that. There could be other reasons for that, but this test guarantees that it's not the turbo. If there's no leaks, it guarantees that the turbo has no leaks. Doesn't mean that the turbo itself could be messed up, but you know, this is just a test for leaks in the charge system. So what I did with this one is actually, if you remember, it was leaking here, and somebody must have put the clamp backwards, and what it was doing, it was catching on the second rung, and it was creating a leak. Now if we grab it and move it, see, you don't hear nothing. It's nice and tight. Now put them on. There's 20 psi in here. That's a lot. Okay, see the gauge? I mean, for a stock engine. See, we're at 20. Okay, it's still, and like if I release pressure, I'll show you how to gauge what it does. You see how it goes down? 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, like basically like that. So put it back up to 20. It'll climb up to 20. There's oil in this gauge. This type of gauge has that oil in there, so in case you're seeing it, it's not your phone. Okay. All right. So now what I was trying to say is, like, you don't hear anything now. Now, the charge pipe, rubber one right here, is hard as a rock because there's 20 psi in there. You can wiggle it. You see over here, that area over there, and when it goes to the charger, you just listen, wiggle it. I don't hear nothing. Now you'll hear very, like I was talking about before, very slight hiss. I'll cover it. You hear the ooh. Very, very slight hiss. Now you don't hear it. That's normal. Okay, that little, very slight. Okay, so now we know it sounds good over there. Sounds good over here. Here and there is good. All right, now you would have to bend down near the turbo and listen. But according to the gauge, how it's going down slow, I don't think there's a leak there. The leak was, you heard it before in the beginning of the video. And also, of course, over here where we had the problem, you wiggle it. These over here, anything that goes into the charge tube. All right. Nice and quiet now. And then the one coming out of the intercooler down here, this one, you wiggle that one too on the bottom. I don't hear anything. Okay. Let's watch it drop again. All right, pressure's off to get an idea how it drops. See how it is? That's a normal drop. Okay. Charge it back up. Open the valve all the way. Back up to 20. And it seems like it's okay now. So it was a simple thing. Somebody had a clamp on backwards, and when it would boost, it would tilt the pipe and leak. Go figure. All right, but a lot of times that charge pipe does crack, like I said before. All right, and those are basically your potential leaks, and that's the proper way to do it on the N20 BMW engine. Okay, you can't really do it any other way. It has to go to the turbo itself, which is buried. That's why you need this little tool. All right, guys, so that's about it now. Let's say, assuming you did this, it checks out okay like this one now, and you still have a low boost code, then it's probably the turbo. the turbo is either not spinning right, it's jammed up, or, you know, it just has too much play, and it's cooled by water and coolant, and sometimes, oil and coolant. And sometimes, you know, the carbon builds up in there, slows the turbo down, it doesn't spool up properly, and that could be the problem. All right, guys, so this is MotorCarNut. Please subscribe, hit the like button. You learned anything today, please give me a super thanks. I would appreciate that. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Any comments, leave them below. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.